early in this game, it was the Panthers were doing anything they wanted. On offense, DJ Moore was going nuts, and McCaffrey had a couple big plays, and the defense was just teeing off on Davis Mills, and yet it was like 7-0. They couldn't get that big lead. They couldn't jump out. And then they lose McCaffrey, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Houston scores. They missed the extra point. It's 7-6, and you're like, Carolina's going to lose this game.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to lose this game. No McCaffrey. They didn't put him away when they should have.
Yeah.
And then they didn't. They responded. And Darnold was like fired up. You see him in these post-game press conferences, it puts you to sleep. He's not this, we got this done. No one thought we could do it. It's one day at a time. We're going to, and like that in New York did not play. But last night, it was a steady hand. And it was feeling like, okay, we're okay, guys. We're calm, we're cool. And Matt Rule said it after the game, was like, we were throwing the ball deep late. Like, Sam is the coolest customer you can imagine. And that might not be for every team, but for their team, it works. And late in the game, I want to show this last touchdown again. Darnold getting in and the toughness that he shows here, pushing. His helmet pops off here, and the entire team is celebrating. And it's like, that's our quarterback.
It's a big moment.
It's a cool moment for Darnold because I think he was beat up pretty badly here in this New York market for not being good enough. And in just year 3, them pulling the switch and being like, you know what, we're never going to win with this guy. We got to go for Zach Wilson instead. Darnold's 3-0. He looked really good. He had 304 yards passing. He had a couple rushing touchdowns. He was tough as nails. Before the game, we have endless hours of pregame coverage on Texans-Panthers, and we had Mick Mixon on with Andrew Sisano. Mick Mixon's the radio guy, and he said that Rule told Darnold, like, you don't have to be the vocal leader. We've got that in this locker room. I'll take care of a lot of it.
Just ball.
You just ball. You be yourself, and you be calm under pressure. We're going to be just fine. They're 3-0. They've got 10 days before they play Dallas. Carolina, even without Christian McCaffrey, showed me something. Resilient, tough, and Sam Darnold. You don't have to be Joe Namath anymore. Just be Sam Darnold. It might be enough in Carolina.
Is it safe to say that, like, the stress of New York was a lot for Sam Darnold? Because he feels comfortable. He looks great. He's throwing the ball around. And I think that was the biggest takeaway for me was his comfortability with just commanding that offense, driving the ball down the field, threw some really good balls yesterday, really good timing routes, some anticipatory routes that were like, okay, Sam's really doing something out here. He was efficient, over 300 yards passing, and I wrote last night in my notes, DJ Moore is a real guy.
He is, right?
Like,
talk about
he's
it. He's
a real guy, back-to-back 1,000-yard receiver. Like, he's a guy that needs to get the ball early and often. He can go. You know, they played pretty much a cover 2 shell most of the game, Houston did, and they did a good job picking through those holes, picking through that defense, and that's what you want out of Sam Darnold. And then that defense, I mean, they were flying around. I remember certain highlights. I was like, is this in fast forward? Because it seems like everybody's standing still, and that defense is just flying around, getting after people. And it was good to see Sam Darnold be efficient and get the ball to his playmaker. Obviously, losing McCaffrey is a big deal. And it was good for that defense, that Carolina defense, to just literally fly around and take people's heads off.
They did. They have a fast-forward defense. We might have stumbled upon something. I think maybe Charlotte is a good fit for Sam Darnold.
Agreed.
Like, that's a good speed.
Not bad,
New
York, good
Charlotte. Like, that's
exactly.
Yeah, because he's not from L.A. Like, he's from sleepy Orange County. Like, that's a whole different deal. I think this is a nice little team. And I know that sounds very patronizing. Nice little team. 3-0. Here's the problem. With 3-0, then we have to start asking the questions. Like, how good can they be? Can they knock off the Bucs? Can they do this? Can they do that? We'll see. I don't know. I know this, that when we start talking about, will this Carolina team, maybe they get McCaffrey back, can they beat the Seahawks? Can they beat the Rams? Can they beat the Buccaneers? It's a big ask. But the asset they have is, holy crap, Vicky, you were just talking about it, that pass rush is awesome. It is fast, it is young, it is hungry, and that's how you shock the world in January and December. That's how you beat the Seahawks in Seattle. That's how you beat Tampa. It's not your offense. It has nothing to do with Darnold and the secondary. It is the pass rush. Now, we talked about this yesterday. They played the Buccaneers, who's in their division, in 2.5 months. We will not see them, and they play them twice in 3 weeks. It is a weird scheduling quirk where right now, if you're an NFC fan, a football fan, you're like, all right, we're 3-0. Let's see what we got against Tampa. You're not going to get it. You're going to get Dallas next week, which is an awesome thing, but I think we need to see a lot more from Carolina, especially with McCaffrey. But that thing they have in their pocket is, oh my God, we are fast and young up front, and that means you can beat anybody.
Kyle, what do you need to see for you to be like, okay, this team is for real?
Cowboys beat Dak.
Yeah, I think
that's the game.
It's not their fault, but they beat Davis Mills last night. All right, no disrespect, but like they beat the Jets, they beat Jameis. If they beat Dak and overcome Dallas next week, 4-0, like damn.
But you can't say the Saints were like great week 1 and took down the Packers in week 2, like we're talking about them, like it was Jameis. Like I don't think we can do that. The Panthers haven't been behind once through 3 weeks. They've never dragged, even losing Christian McCaffrey and J.C. Horn. They never lost the game. They struggled for a little bit, then they settled down. I think it's going to come to, like, how cool is this front office, Drakes? Talk to me about that. And Matt Rule and Phil Snow in just adding to this defense and adding depth. We have Chuba Hubbard there. When I look at those big injuries and then I go to the depth chart and I'm like, oh, what am I going to see? Like Chuba Hubbard, I'm like, okay, exciting. He could maybe do his thing. And then I go, I'm sorry, a former All-Pro in A.J. Boye, ready to maybe step in for J.C. Horn, who's been really good. And then, like, who was talking about Hassan Reddick getting signed? So under the radar.
Late in the game, too.
Nobody was talking about it. And he has 4.5 sacks leading the NFL. And Triggs really talked to me about this. The full circle moment of when I met Matt Rule. Who was he talking up on our set?
Hassan Reddick out of Temple, who he coached in college.
And then he went to Arizona, did some switched up, got back under the radar signing, paying off. I like seeing that come full circle for him.
Yeah, and Matt Rule coached Robbie Anderson in college, and he's having his best
and
time.
He needs to step up now.
Yeah, they all do. The defense is so young, and we can talk about Burns and you can talk about Reddick, but it's like inside Derek Brown's really good, and Jeremy Chinn's really good. Shaq Thompson might be their best player.
Yeah.
It just was waiting for Kuechly and Thomas Davis to not be there anymore for him to be the guy. That defense will keep them in every game. They will not be a team that loses by like 20 or 30 points.
They have depth. They need the offensive line to step up because Christian McCaffrey covering some deficiencies there, of course. And I would like to see Robbie Anderson, newly paid, reunite with Sam Darnold and now step up without Christian McCaffrey on the field.
We got to get Robbie Anderson some touches, and having that balance with him and DJ Moore could be spectacular. And then that defense is flying around. This is a good little team, Kyle. That can grow to be a big, great team. So we'll see.
Now we'll start with Christian McCaffrey. Suffered what is believed to be a strained hamstring. Not surprised you saw him go out. And the fact that he was in the tent for so long is a little bit concerning. And also the fact that the Carolina Panthers ruled him out so quickly. If they knew right away that things were very badly wrong with Christian McCaffrey, does make you believe he's going to miss some time with that hamstring injury. We don't know how much time, but that is what it's looking like right now. Just simply could not push off at all on that hamstring last night. They knew almost immediately that he was not going to go back in there, and it was Chuba Hubbard essentially taking over. More information on McCaffrey as we have it today. Meanwhile, for J.C. Horn, the top corner in the draft and someone who really has helped that Carolina Panthers defense become the best in the NFL, suffered multiple broken bones in his foot. He went from the field right to the x-ray room, the news before the game was over, multiple broken bones. Now, it's a serious injury. We do not know yet if it is season ending. Obviously, the Panthers hope not. They're also going to make sure that their rookie budding star is everything, all the focus for him is essentially on his entire career, not just getting it back as soon as possible for this season.
And this is why you draft Chuba Hubbard in the 4th round, of course, as some insurance, a full workload for Christian McCaffrey. And he's shown that he can do it. He at least did it down the stretch yesterday. This is why you take Royce Freeman, who's shown some nice things, to get some depth, really good depth on this team. So devastating loss for Carolina. And Ian will talk to you throughout the morning here, but they did get a win. What does the Christian McCaffrey injury mean for the Panthers going forward, Victor? What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's a tough break for them, a tough break for Christian McCaffrey. He matters so much to that team, not just on the field, obviously, and what he can do between the tackles and with the pass game, but just from a game plan perspective. Going into the week, the opposing team having to game plan for Christian McCaffrey is a big deal. And now that they don't have to do that, it's going to be running back by committee. It's going to be, Coach Rule is going to have to find creative ways to make plays happen and make things go. So we'll see how they adjust. I think the backup running backs are going to be great. They're going to have their share. They're talented. Obviously not Christian McCaffrey, but they have to find a way to be creative with the play calling and be able to make some plays and devise some things to do, because losing Christian is a big deal, both from a game planning perspective and then just on-field production.
Next man up. Let's go. This is the NFL.
There we go.
Next man up.
That's
this is the man right
jersey,
here. This is the Chuba Hubbard jersey. We could cry we want all about Christian McCaffrey. They dealt with it last year. They had to found a way, and they got it done. This year, they're going to have to do it again. This is the guy. The reason we have his jersey is because he was so good in the preseason. We were talking about him so much. The Panthers sent us this game-worn jersey from Chuba Hubbard. It's now time to do it in the regular season. He was a good player at Oklahoma State, but that's the NFL. If you're going to be a great team, it stinks for Christian personally, and we want him back. Of course, he's awesome. But if the Panthers are going to compete, they need to get the next man up, and the next man needs to go. It is that plain and simple. You cannot cry over losses in the NFL. That's what it is as a winning team.
It's a gorgeous jersey.
It is.
It really
nice,
is.
Right?
sucks because not only the on-field stuff, like he's the face of the team. He's the face of the franchise, and there's not a lot of teams where the running back is. That's why, with respect to Chuba and the young running backs they have, like this is Sam Darnold time. Like raise your game, man, because you are the quarterback. You are the new face of the team. Now when they print the graphics and the posters, McCaffrey's out, you are on, and guess who you're playing next week? America's team. Sam Darnold, he said in his press conference, he said, we got other guys who can do it, but he needs to do more. Sam Darnold, for the next month, who knows how long he's out? You're the face of the team. You're the leader. Game's got to go up. Sam, up, baby.
AJ Boye is there. Hopefully he can fill in for J.C. Horn. They've got the depth at running back. What about Terrace Marshall? We talked about him as an exciting rookie. Robbie Anderson had a touchdown week 1 against the Jets. Haven't seen much from him since. He's got chemistry, hopefully, with him. Him and DJ Moore can sort of make up for what Christian McCaffrey loses in that offensive line. Hopefully those problems that they've had do not creep up without McCaffrey in the lineup.